Yo, what's good, Farside TV? This is Cypher, and we are back again, and we are on the West Side. Yes, sir. West Side. Let me put that hand down real quick. Yes, sir. We on the West Side, and we're gonna go over the Mount Rushmore of the West Coast. So if you don't know me, I'm Cypher. I'm an artist. I listen to music, so you don't have to, and I also make Mount Rushmores, depending on which region it is. Last week we was on the East Coast, and I picked Biggie, Jay-Z, Busta Rhymes, and DMX. Not in any particular order, but that's what we came to after a long decision-making attempt. So now we're here on the West Coast, right? And what I do is I take the 4 most influential West Coast artists and put them on my Mount Rushmore. The best part about this is that there is no 1 through 4. It's all, they're all on the same tier and kiln when it comes to the Mount Rushmore. So that's the best part. So now we're here, about to make this thing happen. And yeah, if you don't know me, I'm Cypher. Listen to the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and hit that bell for notifications so you can see more great videos like this, right? So without further ado, basically let me explain. It's not just about being from the West Coast, it's about representing the West Coast scene. If you are from Atlanta, that doesn't mean because you make West Coast music you are disqualified because you're from Atlanta. No, if you are a West Coast artist, then you're a West Coast artist, and that's what you're gonna be doing. Which leads us to our first pick, who is not from the West Coast, but he represented the West Coast. Yeah, you already know it's an easy one. Tupac. Yes, Tupac is on the Mount Rushmore of the West Coast. I don't really need to explain, but I mean, it rivals Biggie on the East. He was the man. He was the biggest name in hip-hop at the time. He was in movies. He had the dopest bars. He had heavy influence on the culture. He made everybody fashion choice. Like he made his impact everywhere. So he's definitely there. Pac's definitely there. Number 2, I'm still gonna say it's easy because not from a lack thereof of Pac. I felt like Snoop would have been there eventually anyway, but yeah, Snoop Dogg is also on the Mount Rushmore of the West Coast. Again, same thing. Countless albums, movie roles, influence. He's still entertaining to this day. Snoop's been everywhere. And you can't really debate it. To me, he is, and a lot of people may wonder why I chose Busta Rhymes on the East Coast over a lot of people. It's because they know how to stay with the times. Busta Rhymes has reinvented himself so many times. I feel like Snoop is the East Coast or West Coast version of Busta Rhymes, and vice versa. They've both been around forever, and they both know how to adapt, right? Busta Rhymes went through a phase of being, like I said, the rah-rah guy, 90s hype man, into being a hit maker, into being having a resurgence in 2006, and then from then on out, just keeping up with the times, whether it was the trap style, whether it was everything. He's still making music to this day. He just dropped the album last month, and it was straight. Dope bars forever. And the same thing with Snoop, not necessarily on the lyrical tip, but as far as staying relevant. Snoop went from being the West Coast OG Unk to a hit maker, just like Busta Rhymes early 2000s, working with Pharrell. Movies, heavy influence. Everybody knows who he is, literally in the world. He went from doing all that to going through a rock phase, but I want to rock right now. 80s synth phase, Snoop Lion, mixtape Snoop, which I didn't know was a thing, but that's my work. All those series, that's mixtape Snoop, to making albums again, and to just being here. He's here, right? So you can't debate that. As far as who else is on the Mount Rushmore, again, just like the East Coast, after the first 2, it gets a little wild. So we're gonna try to knock this down and make it make sense. I will say that some people may look at it as being easy to pinpoint the West Coast Mount Rushmore, because there already is one currently, according to these 4 gentlemen. We had the Mount Westmore album out a couple years ago with E40, Too Short, Ice Cube, and Snoop Dogg. And while I do agree that 2 of them would be on a West Coast Mount Rushmore, I don't believe that they are all 4 West Coast. Mount Rushmore. I really do know Snoop is, and I really want to give it to Ice Cube, but I'm just not entirely sure. I feel like based on the lyrics, the impact, the movies, and the fact that he's still doing stuff to this day, I think Ice Cube should be on that Mount Westmore. So we're gonna go ahead and put him on there as the third member. And he doesn't have any prolific albums that make you say, oh, okay, yeah, he's one of the GOATs. But as you can see at this point, you don't really need too much material. It's really your impact. Some people disagree. Some people feel like you need to put more work in the game, need more albums, need more singles, all that. But I feel like if you make an impact with very little, then that means something. Just think of the NBA. Everybody knows Damian Lillard is one of the best players to this day. The guy that makes hip hop music, and in my opinion had one of the best albums of the year last year at the last minute in December. One of the best albums, period. Which is insane for anybody that's not like in the rap game. He is a full-fledged basketball player, but he never won a ring. But we do consider him as one of the best. Russell Westbrook at one time never won a ring, but at one time we consider him as one of the best. Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, Paul George. The list goes on and on. All those guys never got their ring, but we knew that they were in the top echelon of sportsmen in the world, right? That's how I feel about these artists. Just because you don't drop as many or even a complete album doesn't mean you didn't have a great impact. I feel like Ice Cube helped revolutionize the turn of hip hop in the 80s. It went from being this pop happy MC Hammer can't touch this dance scene to being hardcore rap, because nobody cared about the other stuff no more. When they came out with that hardcore rap with NWA, it was over. That's all people was. And it wasn't just particularly only West Coast, but it was the world. Everybody wanted that gangster rap. That's what it was. It was winning. So that's that with that. So Ice Cube, I feel like he definitely should be on there, just from that alone. To be honest. And like I said, every other accolade there is, the guy's influential, heavily influential. And when you think of the West Coast, you do think of Ice Cube. So as far as that fourth slot, I know I don't want to give to E40. All respect to E40, but I just don't see him as being on the Mount Rushmore of the West Coast. Even though he has put on heavy for the West Coast in the Bay Area, I still don't consider him over certain artists when it comes to Mount Rushmore. But he's still heavily respected. Like, to me, I feel like he's in the same realm as DJ Quick. Everybody knows who DJ Quick is, but you wouldn't consider him to be in the top echelon of West Coast artists in history, right? So I'm really torn because the last member of the Mount Westmore is Too Short, and I kind of agree and feel like he should be there just because of the opposite of what we just talked about. He's put in so much work. The guy has literally over 20 albums, 20 some albums. Seriously, I don't see how he did it. But the guy, hard beats, nice lyrics, nice flow. He's been around forever. He's been putting on the West Coast for all this time, whether you know him or not, whether you've been listening or not. The guy's been putting on. So I really want to give it to him, but I feel like the spot should be taken by somebody who is just as lyrically profound and impactful. I don't think he's been as impactful as he should be. To me, he's like the Nas of the West Coast. Definitely known on that region for being what they are and being great at it, but not known to the world as the guy. A lot of people don't know who Nas is, unfortunately. A lot of people don't know who Too Short is, unfortunately. But they did know, that they were both kings on their respective sides of the United States, East and West Coast. So I really, as much as I really want to give it to Too Short, honorable mention, heavy. The most honorable mention, Too Short. At the top of that list. Too Short for sure. I can't give it to Too Short. I gotta give it to Kendrick Lamar. Yes, Kendrick Lamar to me is on the Mount Rushmore of the West Coast. And you may, before you pick up your pitchforks, I just want you to realize and think about this, right? Some people may look at it like, well, how could you say J. Cole on the West Coast and not, how could you say Kendrick Lamar on the West Coast and not J. Cole on the East Coast? Well, it's different because J. Cole, although he is very impactful and has made a huge impact in this time of day with his music and his art, he's still to me a great New York MC, and we have a lot of those right now. We got Joey Badass, we got Benny the Butcher, we got a lot of the New York guys really showing out. And I'm not saying he doesn't stand out from them, but I'm saying that I don't think there's enough of a difference within him to really say he's on the Mount Rushmore. So Kendrick Lamar, I feel like, is different enough, but strong enough to represent the West Coast because not only his lyrics, not only is he the best lyricist in the game today, in my opinion, period, number one in the game today as lyricist, but he's made a huge impact on how we perceive music. If it wasn't for Kendrick Lamar, we probably would have been saying that Drake and 21 Savage's Her Loss was the best album of the year that year. But in reality, it wasn't. It was Kendrick Lamar's album because it was the most profound. It has so much less replay value, but the fact that it was so potent is the reason why it was, to me, the album of the year in 2022. It was full of such strong messages and deliverance that and reverence that it just made sense for him to be labeled as one of the top tier guys in history. Hearing him on ciphers, hearing him rap with the best, comparing him to like all the greats, and the best part is he is heavily influenced by Eminem. So imagine a West Coast version of Eminem, but different. He says his own swag, his own style, but it's not your typical West Coast guy, but it's also one of the best in the world to do it. So you have to give it to Kendrick. In my opinion, you have to. J. Cole, I feel like, is a strong honorable mention, but I just would like to receive more from him than what he had been given, as opposed to Kendrick, who has broke boundaries with different collaborations and really just himself. The last album he did, to me, was probably his best work and it's probably most profound work. It's just really cutting those walls between artist and fan, really pulling back the curtains and letting you know he's been through some real pain. So yeah, that's what that is, and that's pretty much it, guys. That's my Mount Westmore, right? That's my Mount Westmore. We got Tupac, Snoop, Ice Cube, and Kendrick Lamar. I think that's a healthy mix. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it, discuss it. Keep it healthy, keep it clean, keep it good. It's all love here. We're just having a healthy debate. But let me know what you think. Smash that like button for me too. You know what? No, time out. Please, politely and nicely tap the like button. I don't really like when people say smash the like button because it's so trendy. Like everybody says smash it. And what's that gonna do? If you smash the like button, you ain't gonna be able to hit the like button again because you just smashed it. So why would you smash it when you can easily just tap it and it'll do the same thing? Don't smash it. Don't break your computer. Don't break your phone. Just like it. Just hit the like button. That's all you gotta do. Thank you. Hit the like button and subscribe. So just 2 buttons. Just tap, like, subscribe. Hey, and if you want to, if you're feeling just vigorous, then go and hit that bell for notifications. You can get notifications on videos like this. But seriously, hit that like button and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. I really do. And I love doing these things. I appreciate you guys. And this Mount Westmore tier is going to keep going all month. It's just a different coast each time, and that's where we at. So next week we're gonna go down south and see who our Mount Rushmore is down there. That's gonna be even crazy. I thought East Coast was crazy, West Coast was crazy too, but South, that's gonna be hard. I don't know. We're gonna see. But thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate you. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.